Most people spend their entire lives chasing success through their jobs. They wake up every morning thinking about deadlines, promotions, targets, and paychecks. But here's the truth. Your job will never outgrow you. The ceiling of your success is not your company, it's your character. The real work, the work that shapes your destiny, begins not in the office, but within you. When you work harder on yourself, you don't just improve what you do, you elevate who you are. Skills can make you money, but personal growth makes you valuable. Imagine two people doing the same job. One focuses only on completing tasks, while the other focuses on becoming wiser, calmer, more disciplined, and more creative every single day. Over time, the difference between them becomes enormous. One stays employed, the other becomes irreplaceable. Your job gives you experience, self-work gives you expansion. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and creators in history didn't just work for their careers. They worked relentlessly on their mindset, their habits, their understanding of people, and their emotional intelligence. Because when you master yourself, everything else aligns naturally. Working harder on yourself means reading when others are scrolling. It means reflecting when others are reacting. It means improving your communication, managing your emotions, developing empathy, and building resilience. It means saying, how can I become better? Instead of, when will things get better? The job pays you for what you produce, but life rewards you for what you become. Every hour you invest in your personal growth multiplies the value of your professional work. When you strengthen your character, your decisions become clearer. When you grow your mindset, your possibilities expand. When you refine your skills, your confidence rises. Stop waiting for the next promotion to define your worth. Start working on becoming the kind of person who doesn't need a title to lead, who doesn't need applause to keep going, who doesn't need motivation because discipline has already taken its place. So the next time you sit down to work, ask yourself, am I only working for my job, or am I working on me? Because when you work harder on yourself than you do on your job, you'll eventually reach a point where your growth creates opportunities faster than your job ever could. Success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. 5 keynotes of the speech, personal growth defines professional success. Your career can only grow to the level of your self-development. Work on your mindset as much as your skill set. Mindset controls behavior, and behavior determines results. Invest in emotional intelligence and character. These invisible qualities create visible success. Discipline and self-reflection create transformation. Growth happens when you choose consistency over comfort. Become more valuable, not just more productive. When you focus on becoming better, opportunities begin to chase you. Your personal growth defines your professional success because every external result begins with an internal change. The truth is, no matter how hard you work at your job, your performance will always be limited by the person you are. You can only achieve what your mindset, discipline, and habits allow you to achieve. When people chase professional success without personal growth, it's like trying to build a tall building on weak foundations. The higher they try to go, the more unstable it becomes. Growth that isn't supported by strength of character eventually collapses. Think about it. Every skill, every promotion, every milestone begins with a decision made by a person. And the quality of those decisions comes from your inner growth. The more self-aware, emotionally intelligent, and mentally resilient you are, the better choices you make. If you lack discipline, even the best opportunities will slip through your hands. If you lack patience, you'll quit before your efforts bear fruit. If you lack confidence, you'll hold yourself back even when doors are open for you. That's why the first and most important investment you can ever make is not in your job, it's in yourself. Most people work to impress others, to meet expectations, or to survive the next performance review. But the ones who rise above that are the people who work to improve themselves. They study not just their tasks, but their own weaknesses. They observe how they react under stress, how they communicate with others, and how they think when faced with problems. They turn everyday experiences into lessons, every mistake into feedback, and every challenge into a chance to evolve. They understand that professional success is just a mirror reflecting their inner development. Imagine 2 individuals starting in the same role. Both are equally skilled and motivated. One focuses only on learning new tools and meeting deadlines. The other focuses on understanding themselves, learning how to manage time better, communicate more clearly, stay calm under pressure, and stay curious even when things get hard. A year later, one is still performing the same job, maybe a little better. The other has grown into a leader because they've become someone others look up to. The difference wasn't in their job, it was in their personal growth. When you grow personally, your world expands professionally. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait for opportunities. You create them. You start seeing connections between ideas that others overlook. You build confidence that makes people trust you. You learn to handle failure without losing hope, and success without losing humility. You start influencing people not through authority, but through authenticity. This is how personal growth silently shapes your professional path. Growth also changes how you define success. Instead of measuring it by salary, titles, or status, you begin to measure it by impact, fulfillment, and progress. You stop competing with others and start competing with who you were yesterday. This mindset shift makes you unstoppable because external factors no longer control your motivation. You're driven by something deeper, the desire to become your best self. And when that happens, success becomes a byproduct of who you are becoming, not just what you are doing. Every time you invest in yourself, whether by reading, reflecting, practicing gratitude, improving communication, or mastering your emotions, you're upgrading the engine that drives everything else in your life. A strong engine can take any vehicle farther, no matter the road. The same applies to life and work. Your inner growth allows you to go further, faster, and more confidently, no matter what challenges you face. Think of your job as a stage and your personal growth as the actor's preparation. Without growth, the performance is flat and forgettable. But when you've worked on yourself, when you've learned, evolved, and stretched your abilities, you don't just perform, you inspire. The audience sees authenticity, competence, and passion. And that's what separates good professionals from great ones. The willingness to do the unseen work within. So when you focus on personal growth, you're not neglecting your job, you're enhancing it. You're giving yourself the tools to think better, act better, and lead better. The more you grow, the more value you bring. Companies don't promote titles, they promote value. And value is created by the person you become through growth. Your job might give you a paycheck, but your growth gives you potential. Your job might give you recognition, but your growth gives you reputation. And when growth becomes your daily habit, success stops being something you chase and becomes something you naturally attract. Because the truth is simple, the higher your personal growth, the higher your professional success. Working on your mindset is just as important as working on your skill set because your mind is the foundation upon which every action, every decision, and every achievement is built. Skills determine what you can do, but mindset determines how far you'll go. You can be talented, intelligent, and hardworking, but if your thoughts are filled with doubt, fear, or negativity, you'll keep finding invisible barriers blocking your path. The difference between people who succeed and those who stay stuck is rarely intelligence or opportunity. It's how they think. A strong mindset transforms obstacles into lessons, while a weak one turns challenges into excuses. Your mindset controls your behavior. The way you see yourself, your work, and your future defines how you act every single day. If you believe you can learn, you'll try new things. If you believe failure means you're not good enough, you'll stop trying the moment you fall short. This is why two people can face the same challenge and come out with completely different results. One person sees it as an ending, while the other sees it as a beginning. One gets discouraged, the other gets determined. And that difference doesn't come from ability. It comes from attitude. A fixed mindset says, this is who I am. I can't change. A growth mindset says, this is who I am right now and I can always become better. That single belief can change the direction of your entire life. Because when you understand that you're capable of growth, you stop fearing failure. You start seeing effort as progress. You understand that every mistake is just part of the process of becoming stronger. You no longer measure yourself by perfection, but by improvement. And that shift in thinking makes you unstoppable. Skills can be taught. Anyone can learn how to use a tool, give a presentation, or follow a system. But mindset, that's built through experience, self-awareness, and consistent reflection. It's built when you face rejection, but don't lose confidence when you face uncertainty, but still choose courage when you face pressure, but respond with clarity. Those moments shape your mind more than any textbook or course ever could. The truth is your outer world will never be better than your inner world. If your mindset is chaotic, your work will feel chaotic. If your mindset is calm and focused, your work will reflect that same order. Mindset also controls how you handle success. Some people achieve small victories and become complacent, believing they've arrived. Others see success as a signal to aim higher, to keep learning and evolving. That's why working on your mindset is not just about resilience during hard times. It's also about humility during good times. A mature mindset understands that success is not permanent and failure is not fatal. It's about balance, the ability to stay grounded no matter which way life swings. Working on your mindset also means training yourself to think long term. Most people quit when results don't come quickly. They forget that growth is invisible before it's visible. The tree doesn't appear the moment you plant the seed. It takes time, patience, and faith. The same applies to personal and professional success. A strong mindset helps you keep showing up even when there's no applause, no visible progress, and no guarantee, because deep down you know that consistency always pays off, just not immediately. It's easy to admire people who seem confident and composed, but that calmness comes from the work they've done internally. They've learned to control their emotions instead of being controlled by them. They've learned to replace doubt with discipline, fear with preparation, and comparison with gratitude. That's what happens when you deliberately strengthen your mindset every day. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding intelligently. You stop seeking motivation and start relying on habits. You stop needing validation because your focus is on contribution. When you strengthen your mindset, your behavior naturally aligns with your goals. You become more disciplined because you understand the value of consistency. You become more adaptable because you expect change instead of resisting it. You become more confident because you've trained your mind to look for solutions, not problems. Over time, this mental strength becomes your greatest advantage, far more powerful than any technical skill or title. Every successful person, regardless of their field, has one thing in common: a mind that refuses to give up. Their skill set helps them perform, but their mindset helps them persist. When your mind is trained to see growth in every situation, even failure becomes fuel. That's why working on your mindset is not optional. It's essential. Because while your skills might open doors, your mindset determines whether you can walk through, stay there, and keep growing once you do. In the end, your mindset sets the direction and your skills follow it. The right mindset can multiply your potential while the wrong one can destroy it. When you build a resilient, optimistic, and growth-driven mind, you become the kind of person who thrives no matter the circumstances. You stop being limited by what happens to you and start being empowered by how you respond to it. That's when true success begins. Not in the tools you use, but in the thoughts you choose. Emotional intelligence and character are two of the most powerful forces that shape a person's success, yet they are often the most overlooked. Most people focus on building technical skills, mastering strategies, or improving efficiency, but very few pay attention to understanding emotions, their own and those of others. Emotional intelligence is not about being emotional, it's about being aware. It's the ability to recognize what you feel, why you feel it, and how those feelings influence your actions and decisions. When you combine that awareness with a strong character, the integrity, humility, and empathy that guide your behavior, you create a foundation for lasting success that no external force can shake. In any professional environment, skills may get you hired, but emotional intelligence determines how far you'll go. It's the difference between someone who knows how to manage tasks and someone who knows how to manage people. Because every job, no matter how technical, is about human connection. The ability to listen, to understand, to communicate, and to stay composed under pressure defines whether you can lead, collaborate, or inspire others. People don't just remember what you said or did. They remember how you made them feel. And that emotional memory can either build trust or break it. A person with high emotional intelligence doesn't react impulsively. They respond thoughtfully. They don't let anger control their tone or fear dictate their choices. They take a pause before speaking. They seek to understand before judging, and they make decisions guided by reason rather than ego. This level of self-control builds respect and credibility. Because in the workplace, conflicts and stress are inevitable. What makes you stand out is how you handle them. When everyone else panics, the emotionally intelligent individual stays calm and focused. That composure becomes contagious. It stabilizes teams and inspires confidence in leadership. Character, on the other hand, is what keeps emotional intelligence grounded. You can be emotionally intelligent and still use that understanding manipulatively if you lack integrity. Character ensures that your awareness is used to uplift, not to exploit. It's about doing the right thing even when it's inconvenient, keeping promises even when they're hard to keep, and staying honest even when no one's watching. A strong character doesn't bend under pressure, it bends circumstances in the right direction. It's the invisible force that earns you trust, the currency more valuable than any paycheck or title. When emotional intelligence and character work together, they create authenticity. People are naturally drawn to those who are genuine, those who lead with empathy, but stand firm with principles. You don't have to pretend to be perfect, you just have to be consistent. The combination of self-awareness and integrity makes your presence reassuring. Others know where you stand and what you stand for. That clarity builds relationships that last, and relationships are the true measure of success in any environment. Emotional intelligence also helps you handle feedback. Many people become defensive when they're criticized because they confuse feedback with rejection. But a person who has worked on emotional intelligence understands that feedback is not a threat, it's a mirror, it's a chance to grow. Instead of reacting, they reflect. They ask themselves what they can learn from it. This mindset not only improves performance, but also earns respect from peers and leaders alike. It shows maturity, the ability to rise above pride and focus on progress. Character shines the brightest when things go wrong. It's easy to be polite when life is smooth. But the real test is how you behave under stress or disappointment. Do you blame others or take responsibility? Do you cut corners or hold your standards? Every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen character. And the more you practice honesty, patience, and humility, the stronger your emotional intelligence becomes. Together, they form a cycle of growth. Emotional intelligence deepens understanding, and character ensures that understanding is used with purpose. Leaders who possess emotional intelligence and strong character create cultures of trust. Their teams feel heard, valued, and motivated. They don't lead through fear, but through respect. They encourage open communication, handle mistakes with fairness, and make decisions that align with both logic and compassion. These are the leaders people follow not because they have to, but because they want to. Even outside of leadership, emotional intelligence and character elevate your personal life. They make you a better communicator, partner, and friend. You begin to understand that everyone has unseen struggles and empathy becomes second nature. You start listening not just to reply, but to connect. You start managing not just your time, but your energy, choosing where to invest it and when to protect it. When you master emotional intelligence, success becomes sustainable because it's built on self-awareness rather than self-interest. And when you anchor that intelligence and character, you become someone others can depend on. In the long run, people don't follow titles. They follow trust. They follow the ones who make them feel understood, respected, and valued. And that can only happen when you've done the inner work of growing emotionally and strengthening your moral compass. Emotional intelligence and character are invisible, but their results are visible everywhere. In how you lead, how you respond, how you communicate, and how you live. The more you invest in them, the more influence you earn, not through authority, but through authenticity. Discipline and self-reflection are the twin engines of true transformation. They are not glamorous and they don't deliver instant results, but they quietly build the foundation for everything great in life. Most people dream big, plan passionately, and start strong, but only a few have the discipline to keep going when the excitement fades. Discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement, and self-reflection is the compass that keeps you on the right path. Without discipline, dreams stay ideas. Without reflection, effort loses direction. But when both work together, they create progress that lasts. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep, studying when distraction calls, working out when it's easier to rest, and saying no when temptation whispers yes. Discipline is the ability to choose long-term growth over short-term comfort. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. Every small act of discipline strengthens your inner willpower, and over time, that willpower becomes unshakable. You start trusting yourself more because you've proven through your actions that you can rely on your own word. That's what real confidence is, knowing you'll show up no matter how you feel. But discipline alone isn't enough. Without self-reflection, discipline can turn into blind repetition. You can keep working hard, but never really improving. That's why reflection is essential. Self-reflection is the ability to pause, step back, and ask, am I moving in the right direction? What am I learning from this? What needs to change? It allows you to turn experiences into lessons. It helps you see patterns in your behavior. What motivates you, what drains you, what habits serve you, and what holds you back. The world moves fast, but growth requires stillness. You can't understand your journey if you never stop to look at the map. Discipline gives momentum, reflection gives meaning. Together, they create transformation. A disciplined person keeps moving forward, but a reflective person ensures that forward movement leads to something worthwhile. Every great leader, artist, or achiever you admire has mastered this balance. They work relentlessly, but they also take time to think. They analyze what went wrong, what worked, and what they can do better next time. That's how improvement becomes continuous. It's not luck, it's awareness paired with consistency. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, often invisible process that demands patience. Discipline helps you stay committed through that invisible phase. The time when you see no results, hear no applause, and start doubting your efforts. But reflection reminds you why you started and helps you reconnect with your purpose. When you reflect regularly, you begin to see progress, even in the smallest details. You realize that every day you stay consistent, you're becoming stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. The world often celebrates outcomes, the promotion, the award, the achievement, but it rarely celebrates discipline and reflection, which are the true sources of those outcomes. The person who reads daily, practices quietly, and learns from mistakes may not look impressive at first, but they are building something extraordinary. They're building character. And character, not talent, determines destiny. Discipline shapes your habits, and your habits shape your future. Reflection keeps your habits aligned with your values, so that success doesn't just make you richer, it makes you better. Discipline also teaches humility. It reminds you that growth is a process, not a performance. It's not about outworking others, it's about outgrowing your old self. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you prove to yourself that your goals matter more than your moods. Every time you reflect on a failure instead of blaming circumstances, you transform pain into power. Those who master this mindset stop being victims of their environment and start becoming architects of their destiny. Self-reflection is also what protects discipline from turning into burnout. Without it, people can become trapped in the cycle of doing more without becoming more. They mistake business for progress and eventually lose sight of why they started. Reflection allows you to realign, to ask whether your actions still match your purpose. Sometimes discipline means pushing forward, and sometimes it means pausing to rest and reset. The wise know the difference. Growth is not just about working harder, it's about working smarter. And that wisdom comes only through reflection. A disciplined person without reflection may succeed, but they risk becoming rigid. A reflective person without discipline may understand, but they never act. Only together do they create balance, action guided by awareness, effort guided by purpose. That's what turns ordinary effort into extraordinary achievement. When you make discipline and self-reflection part of your daily life, transformation becomes inevitable. You stop chasing change and start embodying it. Every act of discipline becomes a brick in the foundation of your best self, and every moment of reflection refines your design. Slowly, the gap between who you are and who you want to be starts to close. That's not magic. That's the quiet power of showing up every day and learning from every step. Becoming more valuable, not just more productive, is what separates those who simply survive from those who truly succeed. Productivity is about doing more. Value is about becoming more. Anyone can fill their days with activity, meet deadlines, or complete tasks, but true growth happens when you evolve into someone whose presence, ideas, and influence make a difference. Productivity can make you efficient, but value makes you essential. The difference lies in where your focus is. Productivity focuses on output, while value focuses on impact. When you start aiming to become more valuable, you stop measuring your worth by how much you do and start measuring it by how much you contribute. Every organization, relationship, and community revolves around value. People remember the ones who bring clarity in chaos, solutions in problems, and calmness in crisis. That kind of value doesn't come from working harder alone. It comes from developing the kind of mind and character that others can rely on. When you work only to be productive, you end up chasing numbers. But when you work to be valuable, you start chasing excellence. You stop asking, how fast can I finish this? And start asking, how well can I improve this? That mindset shift changes everything. It transforms your work from a routine to a craft. To become more valuable, you have to focus on growth that multiplies your impact. Learn to see beyond your job description. Anticipate needs before they're spoken. Develop skills that make you a problem solver, not just a task doer. Learn how to listen deeply, communicate clearly, and adapt quickly. These are qualities that can't be automated, replaced, or outsourced. In a world where everything changes fast, the person who continuously learns and adapts becomes irreplaceable. You can't control how the market evolves, but you can control how much you evolve with it. Value also comes from originality, the ability to think differently. Productivity often rewards conformity. It asks you to repeat what works. But value demands creativity. It asks you to rethink what could work better. The people who create breakthroughs in life and business are those who see what others miss. They're not just completing instructions, they're creating solutions. To become that kind of person, you must cultivate curiosity, read beyond your field, talk to people outside your comfort zone, and keep asking questions others overlook. The more perspectives you absorb, the more valuable your thinking becomes. True value also lies in reliability. It's not about one moment of brilliance, but about being consistent over time. When people know they can depend on you, you become an anchor in uncertain situations. That reliability is a form of value that no title or degree can replace. It's built through small daily actions, keeping promises, meeting deadlines, following through, and delivering quality even when no one's watching. In a world full of noise, the quiet strength of dependability stands out. It builds trust, and trust multiplies opportunities. Becoming valuable also means knowing how to lift others. The most valuable people aren't just the smartest or most skilled. They're the ones who help others rise. They share knowledge, offer guidance, and make the environment better for everyone. Productivity focuses on personal success. Value focuses on collective progress. When you help others succeed, you increase your influence naturally because people remember those who help them grow. The more people you empower, the stronger your own position becomes. Your value increases every time you take responsibility. Instead of waiting for instructions, take initiative. Instead of pointing out problems, offer solutions. Instead of blaming circumstances, adapt to them. Responsibility turns potential into progress. It shows maturity in leadership even without a title. The more ownership you take, the more trust you earn, and trust is the foundation of all lasting success. But value isn't just professional, it's deeply personal. The kind of person you are outside of work, your integrity, your empathy, your attitude reflects in everything you do. A positive, kind, and grounded person brings value wherever they go because they uplift the environment around them. People want to work with those who make them feel respected and inspired. So becoming valuable isn't just about developing your skills, it's about developing your presence. That quiet, confident energy that makes people feel that things get better when you're involved. Productivity can make you busy, but value makes you meaningful. One is about quantity, the other is about quality. A productive person meets expectations, a valuable person exceeds them. Productivity might get you noticed for what you've done, but value gets you remembered for who you are. When you focus on becoming valuable, you don't chase opportunities. Opportunities start chasing you. People seek your opinion, leaders trust your judgment, and your work begins to create impact beyond your role. The goal is not to do more work, but to become the kind of person whose work matters more. You do that by learning continuously, thinking critically, acting with integrity, and helping others along the way. Every experience becomes a lesson. Every challenge becomes training, and every success becomes a responsibility to keep improving. Over time, you'll realize that the real reward for becoming valuable isn't just recognition or promotion. It's the inner satisfaction of knowing you've grown into someone who makes a genuine difference. At the heart of everything you've heard, one truth stands above all. Your greatest project in life is you. Your job may change, your circumstances may shift, but who you become will decide what follows you. Working harder on yourself than you do on your job is not selfish. It's essential. Because when you become stronger, wiser, and more self-aware, you don't just elevate your own life, you elevate everyone and everything around you. Success is not about doing more, it's about becoming more. When you invest in your growth, strengthen your mindset, cultivate emotional intelligence, practice discipline, and focus on adding value, you create a version of yourself that cannot be limited by any job title or position. Your career may open doors, but it's your personal growth that allows you to walk confidently through them. Every step of progress begins with the decision to grow, to wake up every day and work on your thoughts, your character, your habits, and your heart. The job will reward you for what you do, but life will reward you for who you become. So build yourself first, because when you work harder on yourself than you do on your job, you don't just succeed, you evolve, you inspire, and you create a life that reflects the best version of who you were meant to be.